Jalen Duren is absolutely unstoppable.
And jammed it.
That was a massive dunk. That was a huge dunk.
Took Cade Cunningham getting hurt for the rest of the NBA world to finally open their eyes. Jalen Duren isn't just some good center. There are areas of his game that are genuinely Shaq-esque. Obviously, he has a long way to go to ever reach the levels that Shaq reached, but there are flashes from Duren that make you see just how dominant he is. In today's NBA, the expectation for every big man is to stretch the floor, space it out, hit threes, be a floor spacer. That's what zesty Karl Anthony Towns does. You want to be relevant as a center in 2025? You better be able to knock down threes. Jalen Duren does not do that. He does not shoot threes. He does not want to shoot threes. He avoids the three-point line the way my ex avoids my text messages. Now the thing with Duren is he does not need to shoot to destroy teams. He is so dominant physically that he overwhelms teams in a way that very few players in the history of this league have ever done. That is where Shaq comparisons comes in. Shaq never needed to shoot threes either. He walked into the paint, made your life a living nightmare, and dared you to stop him. Duren is cut from that same cloth. He is big, he is fast, he is strong, and he plays with that same kind of terrifying confidence that makes defenders genuinely uncomfortable. And look, I know saying someone reminds you of Shaq is one of the boldest things you can say about a player. People throw that comparison around too loosely sometimes, but there is a very specific reason I am making this comparison, and it has nothing to do with vibes. It is about cold, hard numbers, the stat that changes everything. Alright, here is where things get genuinely insane, and I need you to really sit with this for a second. Jalen Duren now has the second most games in a single season by a center with 30 or more points on 90% field goal shooting. Second most ever. You want to know who is first on that list? Wilt freaking Chamberlain. That is it. That is the entire list. It is Wilt Chamberlain and then Jalen Duren. There is nobody in between. No Hall of Famers, no legends from the 80s, no dominant big men from the 90s, just Wilt and Duren. The man is 22 years old, 22. He is barely old enough to rent a car without an extra fee, and he is already sharing a statistical conversation with one of the greatest players in the history of professional basketball. If that does not make you stop and think, I genuinely do not know what will. And the thing is, this is not some cherry-picked garbage stat designed to mislead you. This is a legitimate efficiency marker. Scoring 30 points while making 90% of your shots means you are not just getting buckets, you are getting them in the most dominant, uncontested way possible. You are not grinding through tough jumpers or banking in desperation shots at the buzzer. You are going into the paint, doing exactly what you plan to do, and finishing at an almost perfect rate.
Another block in his column. Oh, the alley-oop to Jalen Duren. A detonation. I love that pass because Jalen Duren was about at the foul line when that ball was in the air and it was heading.
That is Shaq territory. That is Wilt territory. And right now, that is Jalen Duren territory. Why bigs cannot guard him here is something Cade Cunningham said about Duren that perfectly summarizes why opposing centers are having absolute nightmares trying to contain him.
Yeah, I mean, he has an advantage against most bigs that he sees. It's just, it depends on what it is. The big, strong guys, he's quicker than. And the long, lanky guys, he's just stronger than. So
against the big, strong guys in the league, Duren is simply faster than them. He blows by them before they can even set their feet. Against the tall, lengthy guys who have the reach advantage, Duren is stronger than them. He just physically overpowers them and gets to wherever he wants. So what exactly are you supposed to do? He covers both weaknesses. There is no clean answer. You cannot just throw a big body at him because he will run right past it. You cannot just throw a long, lanky shot blocker at him because he will bully that guy straight into the paint and finish over him. He sits at this unique intersection of size, strength, and speed that basically makes him a nightmare for any matchup you try to throw at him. Watch what he does against Jakob Poeltl, who is a legitimate 7-footer with good defensive instincts. Duren grabs the ball, pushes into transition, and just zooms right past Poeltl like the man is standing completely still. Not with a trick move or some fancy dribble package, just pure stupid speed from a guy who is built like a tank. It genuinely does not make sense watching it in real time. And then there is the Euro step. This man, this giant human being who plays center in the NBA, is throwing out Euro steps in transition like he is a guard. He uses it to get inside the paint cleanly, avoids the contact, and finishes. That combination of burst speed plus advanced footwork is what separates him from every other traditional big in the league right now.
JD against Reed. Hooks it lefty and hits it. Nice move.
That was a clinic right there on footwork. And again, being able to finish with that offhand, which is valuable if you've got it.
The elite playmaker nobody talks about here is what really gets me fired up about how Duren gets discussed, or rather how he does not get discussed. People talk about his scoring, they talk about his rebounding, but almost nobody talks about how genuinely good this man is as a playmaker. Without Cade Cunningham running the offense, Duren did not just keep the Pistons alive, he helped them go 8-2 in their last 10 games. 8-2. Without their best player and their primary ball handler, that does not happen unless the guy stepping up has a deep understanding of the game beyond just scoring. One of the biggest reasons the Pistons kept winning is because Duren understands transition basketball at an elite level. When he grabs a defensive rebound, and he grabs a lot of them, he is not just looking to push the ball up himself, he immediately identifies where his teammates are, who has the best angle to score, and he throws that outlet pass like he has been playing point guard his entire life. His teammates are finishing wide open dunks in transition because Duren is making the right read every single time. His defensive playmaking is just as impressive. Watch how he handles help situations. Rather than just standing in the paint, waiting to react, Duren is actively reading the floor. He shadows his assignment, shows presence, makes the ball handler think he is committed to staying home. And then the second he recognizes a pass is coming into the paint, he abandons his man and goes for the interception. It is not gambling either. It is calculated, intelligent, disciplined basketball. The result is Duren running out in transition with the ball and turning defense directly into offense. That is not something you can teach easily. That kind of defensive awareness and transition instinct is a rare gift. And Duren has it at 22 years old.
Trying to get to the rim. Up.
Well, George, you called it right. They're still trying to do everything alone. They're not playing together.
The pick and roll archetype that everyone forgot. There is a reason Shaq was basically unstoppable in the pick and roll. When you set a screen and slip into the paint with that kind of size and athleticism, what exactly is the defense supposed to do about it? Drop coverage and you give up the easy bucket. Go over the screen and now the ball handler has a step on you. There is no winning. Duren has figured out how to recreate that same nightmare for defenses, and he is doing it against players who are supposed to be unguardable themselves. The Victor Wembanyama play is the best example of this. Wemby, who is arguably the best defensive player in the entire league right now, is playing Duren so far off the three-point line because he knows Duren does not want to shoot it. He is basically daring him to take the jumper, absolutely disrespecting him from a distance. Classic drop coverage. But here's the thing, Duren does not take the bait. He does not force a bad shot just to prove a point. Instead, he goes right into a handoff, uses the space that the drop coverage created, slips into the paint, catches the ball, and then absolutely posterizes Wembanyama. On Wemby, the guy who blocks everything and anybody. That play does not happen if Duren does not understand exactly why the defense is giving him that space and exactly how to punish them for it.
That's what he wants to see right there from Jalen Duren. But he pointed at Dennis Jenkins and said, we've got to attack the back.
That is basketball IQ. That is not just raw athleticism going to work. That is a player who genuinely understands the game at a level far beyond his years. And what makes his pick and roll so effective is something that gets criminally overlooked. After Duren sets the screen and starts his slip, he has the footwork to finish, even when there is a defender waiting for him in the paint. Most big men who run this action get to the catch and then completely fall apart because they cannot handle the help defender. They fumble the catch, they travel, they get their shot blocked. Duren uses advanced footwork to sidestep the help, stay balanced, and finish cleanly. That is not luck. That is thousands of hours of repetition. The rebounding machine. Look, if everything else I have told you has not yet convinced you that Duren is special, let me talk about his rebounding, because this is where he truly separates himself from every other center his age in the league. 6 rebounds per game during Cade's absence, and the number alone does not fully capture how dominant he is on the glass. It is the way he does it that matters. Duren has elite instincts for positioning. He gets to the right spots on the floor before the shot even goes up, which means he is not fighting for position after the fact. He is already there, and once he is in position, good luck moving him. The man has legitimate NFL offensive lineman strength, and he uses every bit of it to lock defenders out of their rebounding zones. His second chance offense is a direct product of this. He does not just grab defensive boards and push it out. He is equally relentless on the offensive glass, putting himself in position to grab his own team's misses and turning them into immediate points. That kind of presence around the basket is something you simply cannot game plan away. Second chance points are one of the most underrated aspects of winning basketball, and Duren manufactures them consistently. When you combine that with his transition instincts and his rim finishing ability, you are looking looking at a player who creates scoring opportunities that literally did not exist before he grabbed that rebound. Batman, Robin, and why the narrative is wrong. Okay, let us talk about this Batman and Robin conversation because it has been floating around, and honestly, it is starting to get on my nerves. The idea is that Duren is the Robin to Cade Cunningham's Batman. Cade is the star, Cade is the guy, Duren is the sidekick. That is the narrative. And look, I respect Cade Cunningham. He is an excellent player and a legitimate franchise cornerstone. I am not here to take anything away from him. But the moment Cade went down, the Pistons did not fall apart. They did not spiral into a 5-game losing streak. They went 8-2, and the guy responsible for holding that team together was Jalen Duren. Since the All-Star break, Duren has been averaging 27 points, 14 rebounds, and shooting 68% from the floor. Those are not Robin numbers. Those are not sidekick numbers. Those are the numbers of a guy who is carrying a franchise on his back and making it look almost comfortable. Robin does not put up those numbers. Robin does not posterize Wembanyama. Robin does not share a statistical category with Will Chamberlain. I think at this point we need to start having a genuinely honest conversation about whether Duren might actually be the Batman of this team.
Okay, deep bounce to JD for a jam.
Yep.
And the Celtics are going to take a timeout. 6:37 to play first quarter. The Pistons flexing.
And whether that even matters when you have two players this talented playing together. What I know for certain is that the playoffs are going to be a massive stage for Duren to prove himself to everyone who is still not paying attention. The Detroit Pistons making noise in the postseason without Cade Cunningham would be one of the biggest stories in basketball. And it would not happen without Duren being exactly who he has shown himself to be over these last several weeks. What this all means. Let me bring this all together for you. Jalen Duren is 22 years old. He does not shoot threes. He does not need a massive ball dominant role to be effective. And yet he is producing numbers and playing a style of basketball that we have not seen from a center since the era when big men completely ruled this league. He is fast enough to beat traditional bigs in transition. He is strong enough to bully the tall, lengthy defenders who try to use their size against him. He is an elite pick and roll operator with the footwork to finish in traffic. He is a legitimate playmaker on both ends of the floor. He is one of the best rebounders in the NBA. And he is doing all of this while his team is winning without its best player. The Shaq comparison is not about saying Duren is Shaq. Nobody should have to carry that weight at 22. The comparison is about archetype. It is about the fact that Duren is proving right now in 2025 that the dominant traditional center who does not rely on perimeter shooting can still be an absolutely devastating force in the modern NBA.
Baseline gun goes to Gordon, shot.
Make a really nice play out of the post. And Zion Williamson knows he played good defense and he made a tough shot. So watch what Zion does.
He is proof that the archetype is not dead. It just needed the right player to resurrect it. If you are not watching Jalen Duren right now, you are genuinely missing something. Because 10 years from now, people are going to look back at this stretch of games and talk about it as the moment everyone should have realized what was coming. If you enjoyed watching this, make sure you show some love. Because content like this only keeps coming when you guys are here for it. Drop your thoughts below. How far do you think the Pistons go in the playoffs? Can Duren keep this up when Cade comes back? Let me know.